But we would like to look at a little more detail at Sir Geoffrey Cox, who is exposed as having lived it up somewhat in the last few months, certainly since Easter, roughly speaking, of this year, when new measures were brought in which enabled politicians, MPs, to avoid having to come into the House of Commons and so on in order to vote and to hear debates. They thought it would be better for the COVID crisis and the lockdown if they were allowed to work from home. And so instead, they arranged for them to be able to nominate a proxy who would vote for them and so on, and ideally work in the box room with a well-arranged bookshelf behind them that wouldn't expose too many of their hard right leanings. Instead, Geoffrey Cox wished himself off to the Caribbean, where he's been working as a lawyer for roughly £1,000 an hour for a firm that has... where have we got it? They've been paying him to perform a number of functions in the British Virgin Islands. Cox in Virgin Islands. I mean, that's a scandal in itself, obviously. But he's spent an astonishing 680 hours toiling away for this firm, Withers they're called, raking in some £637,000 in the process, and has contributed not at all to any debates in the meantime in the House of Commons. His glorious, mellifluous baritone, which so swayed so many hearts and minds over the Brexit debate, has not been heard. Who knows what possible measures have been lost as a result. Amanda, what do you make of it? Not strictly illegal, we should say, but... when people talk about politicians having second jobs, working 36 hours a week as a lawyer in a Caribbean island is kind of pushing it.
It's not what you call a second job. Yeah, that's his first job. The second job is the MP.
Yeah, exactly. It's a bit more of a main job, and not strictly working from home either. I mean, another thing possibly of where he's following the letter of the rules, but not the spirit. Although he has been caught out in the past, hasn't it? Because it did note that in 2016. He was found to have committed a serious breach of rules by neglecting to declare more than £400,000 of outside earnings.
Neglecting.
We all lose a receipt sometimes, but how much do you have to earn that £400,000 slips your mind?
Slips your mind. That's quite impressive.
What
his
does he
homes,
get?
according to the Daily Mail, he has a large rambling home in his constituency. That's an important part. If you're a senior Tory, you have a rambling home in the constituency and a £1.5 million apartment next to the Thames.
Well, who doesn't?
He's got it all kitted out. But then also the third place in... What do you think, Josh?
It's ridiculous. That is a proper job like that. He has spent all that time over there. And the other thing is he's been working against the UK government's interests.
Right.
Supposedly there was lots of sort of untoward stuff going on with money in the islands, and they were out there to sort of cut down on it, the UK government.
And he went out a tax dodge.
Yeah, basically. He was out there sort of defending
the rights
people.
Of tax dodge.
Yeah, and so
he's against more transparency. It's like you say, maybe not illegal, but doesn't look good, does it? Doesn't look good.
Because there's been a lot of anger. I know a few people who work in the restaurant trade, which in itself sounds like something bordering onto a confession. But I just happen to know a few people who have struggled to keep staff. They're struggling to find waiters at the moment because a lot of people are under furlough.
Caribbean. They're all going to the Caribbean. They're all defending people in the Caribbean.
£1,000 an hour.
They're all serving cocktails to Geoffrey Cox on his yacht or
but what
something.
they've done, they were offered furlough, perfectly legal, and so of course a lot of them were migrants, and so they would just go home back to where they came from, where their furlough goes a lot further,
Well, that's what furlough is. You stay home. Yeah. So if you've got a home in a cheaper country, why wouldn't you go there? Or alternatively in the British Virgin Islands.
Very good example, is he, Frank?
He's not.